What the fuck? Why is my head not moving? Hello? Come on. Oh, what the god? What the god is awful. Hello? Hello? Edge. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, back on my shield. What are we doing? Last time? Right. It's damn it's lightning. Wait, I changed my mind. I think I'm moving this one somewhere else. But where though? I don't really know. For now, let's keep access to that. Do I have bone? Come on. I need bone. Don't have bone. Raw. But I have so much raw. Shit. Just culinary give me bones. That's up. That's it up. Oh, it is give. This is giving. Good. I mean, chop, chop, chop. Fuck you, fuck you. Cool. Is. Is. What is it called? What is it? Yeah? Ice? Oh my god, that sounds so good. That actually sounds so good. Oh, so awesome. I love that. Anyway, that's not why I'm here. It's where I need to right now. Okay, 12. That's pretty cool. Now I just need to make banner. Why is it so expensive? No. It's very expensive. Where do I hide here? Cannot do that. Here maybe? I just so I change this maybe? Like this. Make it more big. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I wanted? I mean, it's cool, I know. This is not working. Let's do that. Let's see design. The opposite side too. The opposite side. So this one, like this one, one, and then one. So, need three more. Yeah. Why is it raining? I kinda hate this so much. Anyway, I'm taking more of cotton. Cool, cool, cool. This one though, I kinda hate it. How about if I do this? Maybe it will get water, but I don't think so. I mean, it does get water. I mean, did it get it? Unless it's from the rain, which probably is at this point. Probably is from the rain. I think I'm picking up tomato too while I'm here. Get them. I mean, tomato is my staple food from now, for now. So yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty good. I mean, pretty soft. I'm pretty sure that is. And I really don't know how this would take maybe. Hold on. Too much stuff on it. Let me check on my phone. Fuck you, bitch. Fuck. Please tell me I sound good. Because I can't do it like that. Hello? Okay, it's pretty decent. Although I think the game is a bit too loud. Like that maybe. Actually, I think I'm just quiet. But whatever. I don't mind. I do mind actually. What the fuck? Let me see if I can do something about this. How about now? Hello? Piece of shit. Piece of shit. What the fuck? Hello? Hello? Man Enderman? Well, where is it? Testing? 1, 2, 3. Hello, people? I really don't know anymore. I mean. I don't really get it. What is happening? Okay, let's see. I mean, it's pretty, I don't know. Actually don't know this. Kinda whatever. But anyway. Emerald. I need emerald. Hold on. Hold on a minute. Cool and exciting. I do have emerald, right? I'm walking there slowly. Matter of fact. Cool. Awesome. What am I doing? I mean, yeah, whatever. Actually, it's kinda... Hello, everyone? Sleeping on the floor like I'm some fucking homeless guy. Sorry, I don't mean to say that. Anyways. Hey, wrong. We are going to the horse. Wait, oh my god, that's awesome. Do I have that also? Chill. Chill, bitch. Come on now. Saddle. Interesting. Who killed that horse? Who killed that horse? Why is it dying? Why is it died? Why has it died? I don't understand. Who killed that horse? Who killed that horse? Who killed that horse? Don't understand. How come it dies so suddenly? I don't understand. There's someone else in my world, dude. Fuck. Kinda weird. Really weird, huh? How come there's a horse killer around? I didn't know about it. How come? Actually, what am I doing? I'm making tomato. What is it? Wow. This is pretty good. It's pretty good, no? Hey, I need, but I need farm. That's not awesome. What else I'm doing? What am I doing? Why am I here? I. Right. Cool. How many? How many? Yeah, that's enough. That's enough for I here, right here, right there. Perfect. I only need 3, so I'm putting it down. I mean, this is just awesome, no? Here, right here, and here. Perfection. Now look at that. Oh my god. Kinda awesome. Anyway. This house is kinda annoying. I mean, not. So, I don't know. And this window also. But let's not think about it. Let's not even worry. Stuff. I just wonder. I mean, I wanna explore. So we are going to the quarry and then beyond. Wait, why am I going? Let's just say, actually, I don't know whether get the double bridge almost line up perfectly. That's kind of amazing. This double bridge tool here. Cool. Love bridge. I don't know what to do. I'm kind of confused. Thanks. But anyway, we got the cool. What is onion for though? Another onion. What are you for? Not that exciting. This one is kinda easy. Oh my god. God. What the fuck is that? Anyway, I'm tearing down that shit. That's what I'm doing right now. Immediately. I'm tearing down. I'm destroying everything. What's this? Matter? I'm destroying everything here. You will pay for what you did to me. You will pay. What the fuck? You will pay dearly. Destroying everything. I'm leveling this shit down. I hate it so much. Kill yourself. Oh my god, so many tabs though. It's not instant mine. Everything else is in Commander other than Potter and the fence. I think the fence is kind of. Thank God. Come on. Try everything. Try everything done. How dare you, dude? How dare you? How dare you exist in my territory? Connected. How dare you exit? I'm done with you. Trying everything. I do. How dare you exit? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Sorry. destroy like everything. I need those though. I need those. I think I'm going on. So this one is broken down. I'm gonna terraform this area into other. Okay, what do I? To destroy. I forgot something. Anyway, I'm flattening this area. Mine. Careful. I need. I need. I need. I need to go back. Need those. Why is my backpack so small? I think I need sulker. This is netherite, right? Why is it so small? I need to go back. Why is it there? You're talking the long way. The long way down. Did I wrong? I mean, why am I destroying them? I don't actually know. Just feel like doing so. Feel like it. Let me clear the area. What is this formation? This Stonehenge. Okay. Wait, wait, wait. What is this? Is this a cemetery or something? What am I breaking? No, I don't think anything. Just design nothing. Don't think it's a structure. Anyway. I'm clearing up the way over there. I think I'm building my base. There, I mean. This leaf kinda inspired me to make something more organic. Something more healthy, I mean. Why is it already night? Not annoying. Kinda annoying though. So, I think that take this. No. Just a bit more, just a bit more. Clean up the area. Okay. It's village. Okay. Don't know what it is a village. I mean, it's weird. So weird. The next. Let's go. We are sleeping. I mean, it's cool that we are sleeping. I don't actually know what I said. Stop, stop, stop. Stop, 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 stop. Guys, nice. The pipe is open. Almost open, I mean. Need to of this and that and this and that and this and that, this and that, this and that, this and that. I mean, it's kinda actually exciting. You think about it? Anyway, I'm just wondering what I will make of this place once it's broken after. Kinda exciting. Sorry to start. Oof, almost there, almost there. Clean up. Oh, Oh my god. Oh, clean up this one. Let's go. Thing like that now. Guys, it's not there. Come on. Much better. Come on, come on. Let's go destroy much more. Fight, fight here. Not annoying. Setting everything apart. Come on, come on. Come on. Fuck. Oh my god, I'm full already. That's awesome. Chop, 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 chop. Oh. Oh. God, I can summon this. Good shit. This stuff. Look at that area that I decided. I'm on. Looking nice already. But this is so annoying though. But, oh my god. I wish I can just blow this shit up with it. Why don't I? I don't know. Why didn't I blow everything? Kinda annoying. Guard. Get this out of. Guard, 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 guard. I'm tearing everything down. My god, what the? I never did. I'm reclaiming space for me. This is completely necessary, but I'm trying. Just an eyesore. And it's ironic coming from me, but come on. More matey. Be real with me, be real. Another house down and dust. Campaign. Oh gosh. How is it night already? I thought it's raining. It's raining, I guess. Yeah, it is like fucking good. Come on. Faster. Mine. I think I'm placing my weapon higher. And temporarily, oh my god. Guys. What else? This one. What the fuck? I can mix up. There's a lot of reclamation. Okay. Sorry, timing. From the horrendous. Come on, calm down. Come on. Bit more. Just a bit more. Bit more. Oh my god, my order. Look at how slowly I'm mining. Not like this. Come on. It's such a good supply now. I mean, I would make that. Actually, how will I do? Hey, I mean, play God Run. Do I make farm? Really, like farm, but it's necessary. I mean, I can just put the place. Yeah, let's sleep. Oh, I forgot to wear my earphone again after taking it off to hear my own stream. So yeah, I know whatever. Oh, you can install mine, and so that's good to hear. Actually. Hmm. I don't think I need any. That is too much food though. Damn. It's better than any logging ever. Oh, it's fun. Like, hmm, miss. Think that's it. Yes. Yep, this one. I think that's it. My god, I really need hunting on this. Oh, that's all. That's really awful. Faster than must. Think I'm packing. This is, yeah, a drawer, a double drawer. Oh, okay, that's what else, but I'm thinking mouse and faster. It here and then what else? Magma. That's what I put up. Magma is proper. Yes. Then what else? What else, dude? I don't see anything. Don't see nothing. I think that's it for now. Full, I guess. Well, let's back to the construction zone. Okay. Let's skip a hole. And what the this is not skip. Dun 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 dun. Some other time again, I can be on. I mean, but that is that. Come on. This. Sure. Oof. This is tough. But not and done. How many chapters is it? How many house do I need to break anyway? I've done two. I need this. Oh my god. There is so much. Okay, okay. What a joke. My god. What the fuck? Come on. So that just killed the cow. They're so loud. I kinda hate it. That's 3 done. How much more to go? Come on. Come on. Come on. Go. Come on now. Find everything now. Honestly, I don't think I'm done with this animation in a whole sprint. I think it will be more than a sprint. What the fuck? Cool, cool. That house will be so much simpler to destroy. I think I'm destroying this one first or destroying this one. I think it would be more easier. Go out. Go out. That's amazing. Chopping, just chopping everything else. Oh, this is cool. This is awesome. Not cool. Exclamation. On exclamation. Oh my god, I'm thinking about what I'm building in this place. With this exclamation, and I'm kinda excited for that. So let's see. What is ability? Uh, let's try this one next. That's no block. Let's try this one. Observe. What is it called? Observe. Observe Swasi? I don't know what it's called. Observe. Yes. it's time to sleep now. Wait, look at that. Get the beauty. Kinda good. Come on, come on. Come on. God, awesome. Showing. Oh, I'm sorry. Give me my sword. Give my sword. Okay. What is that? What? The wind, the wind, the wind, guys. Fuck. Weather. And just all jump everywhere. Good. Come on now. Come on. Wait, there's okay. There you go. I would never know if I didn't do this great thing I'm doing. Come on, kill this faster. I'm doing my best here. It's pretty good. God, 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 God. Sorry. Sorry. God, my God. How this done? Don't understand it. God damn it. Oh my God. This it's all. Let's stop the video. The most like there is. That's all. That's all. I think that's all. That's all, guys. Thanks for watching. What the fuck? God. I think that's so much stuff to destroy. Come on. Come on. Come on. Faster. Good. The runner. I missed that. Okay, I missed. What is this hissing on my Get off the spider. I'm trying to reclaim some land here. Okay. Let's see. Let's. Oh my god. Just a bit more. But this land is all mine. Cool. Yep. Why is there so many? What is that? In the area. Okay. Nice place to live. But I don't think my forest will able. Don't think my. Dubious. Dubious. Ooh. Ooh. A nine. Good enough. One. Less. Less. How come? How much? I don't know. Yeah. How much? I think this will be for my reclamation. But also. Okay. I just say like that. Give me. What is the size? Is it size? House? Garden? One. 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 Another bot has come. Where the side is start. The main castle will be last. That is how it is. Come on. All land up. How did they get down? Another office sorry. And another night. Chop. Everything. Chop. I almost lived there. Kind of bad idea. Just my God. One. I'm just saying so much. Can't wait to see my. I think I'm done though after kind of tired. Thank you. Who's my who's my kid? Who's using water? Another house gone from the map. That's so exciting. That is so amazing. That is so interesting. Fuck, what is this here? The fuck? Um, boom. Yeah, that's it for now. Let's do exploration. When I can be starting. Always burn, dying. I don't feel you are on your days in time. Feels like you're not right here with me. I cannot notice what it was. Down Let's see where to go. Let's see where to go. There's a big hole over there. It's a bit uninteresting. I I really don't know where to. Really not much, I know. So where is the quarry going? Going to the side. Let's go there. Let's go the car. I think I'm refreshing this. Actual search, you know. When it's cool to have fun, some something is so cool. Really cool, no? I think this will be good if I just this, but it's very green. Slab green. Slab. There's no slab. There is green. Green. So there a slab. Look, like bamboo maybe. I really don't know. Yes, I'm doing the alt trick. That's perfect. Then I need pens. That's pretty. Then I need more. I think I need to make pens. Pens like this. That's enough. It's just for the garden. Make it. Let's say maybe I need moss. It's actual moss. Sorry, I was. All that moss for me. Imagine. Hmm. Maybe if I just get that. But it can be seen though. Fuck. Hmm. This will be fine. This pattern though. Okay. I kinda have it. Also nothing like that. Not in the game. Fun. Pattern will be nice. Fuck. Fuck me. The fuck. Ew. Why am I not moving? Oh, there's a witch. My god, what is happening? Yo, wake up. Wake up, dog. God. Hello? You're not recognizing my fucking. Hello, people? Hello, bitch. This. What? Hello? Fucking people. Come on, please. Yes, just what? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Oh, God. That is this. That is this. Hello? Oh my god. I really. This is kind of boring, by the way. I do have eyes kind of faster than it would normally be. And what is the- I think that's all now. I mean, I don't know. I think can't check. Anyway, this one will be big. Yeah? Okay. Now I get. Why is it night already? The fuck? Hmm. Really? Yeah. Why not? When I think about it, even I cannot be lost. Need to be resource for those. Come on, give me that. Give me a fence. That. Wait, I can do this. I can see everything. I need to do this all for all. For all. When it must farm? No, it not like. one. While I do just I wish I can hide this. Look at that. Isn't that so much? Why am I missing a few? Ah. Or is that just oh yeah. Anyway, where are we going? We are out exploring. We are going past the park to the east. To the east. Yeah. And come on. On. This is the Abadan. This is supposed to be a dead tree. I think that is supposed to be a dead tree. So yeah. I mean I'm so mad at the fuck. Anyway. Can't wait to play other things. We are going there, swimming. At first we are going like look at that boat over here. At that ship, I mean ship. That's the right. That's the that ship over here. That, but I do not have grass. Okay. Not up. Empty. Yeah. Wait, dolphin, come here. Dolphin, follow me. Bro. God, why am I so fast? That is a stronghold. Do I explore it now? What the fuck? Oh my god, here. Hi. 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 Wait, this is sponge. I need this. What do I need it for? I'm just saying. Do I go to the stronghold now? Probably right. Right? Oh my god. Goodness sake. Can't believe I got that interesting. This is not one of my fun. So it's a watering. I mean exciting. Really super. This is really a song or but stop and miss swim, bitch. Anyway, I can just wait a minute. Where's the exit? I don't even have how anything inside the outside, I mean. But this is supposed to be a little song. Then maybe? No, it's fun. No, I went here. Where is the puzzle room though? Do I need to enter deeper? Maybe? Like this. I'm so wet. God. It is a library. My god. Let's go down. Wait, what the fuck is this? Is this not a somehow? What am I doing? God. God have mercy on my soul. When is the library? What is this for? Room? How am I supposed to navigate these places? Am I supposed to just break in here? Surely that's not. It's not a stronghold. The thing about it, why would it be a stronghold? I don't think this is a stronghold. Looks like one, but yeah, I don't think it's so confusing. Wait, there's a layer. Fuck you, who are you? Fuck, I don't have enough. I don't know. It's a bit dark. Okay. I. Oh my god, that scared me. Scared the shit out of me. What is this? This is not the stronghold. Don't think this is a stronghold. What is it? What is this shit? What the fuck? It's empty. There's something done. There's nothing. Ridiculous. What the fuck am I doing here? Okay, yeah, there's nothing here. don't think this is a song. My luck. It's getting up. If it is a song, where is the bottom? I don't think it is. Kinda scam. I don't think this is a song. What is this? No, it's not a song. We're going east. We're going east. We're going east. This is not a song. Not the same. Let's go to Tatsu. What is that? Exciting. There's a strip over there too. I know what that is. Another one of this. Okay. Let's visit. Alright. My inventory is a mess. Yeah. You know what? Temporarily. Just look. God. Temporarily. I think I need to. Oh, there you. Oh, there you. Red. Good. I really need the petals first. Getting mad. Getting mad. My God. Mhm. Okay. That's zero. Okay. Iron. That's one. That's go back. One. Okay. Alright, that's go down. I thought it was us. I thought it was a building for a moment, but no, obviously. Anyway. Level 26. That's what is this ship? The fuck? What the hell? Who live here? What? Oh, it's like everything. something here. Zombie. My heart. My heart did this way. Skeleton, okay. Fuck you, kill yourself. Kill, bitch. Kill before I kill you. My god. Why did we do something up there? This one. But I don't think so. Let's move. Where are we going? There. I see you. What are you? A tower? What are you, dog? You interesting looking fella. I think I'm killing the other dragon right now. Maybe. Probably. Probably not. What is that shit? Oh my shit. What is this? Is this waypoint or what? Waystone, I mean? What is a waypoint? What the... Get that. Got it. That's all. That's the second chamber. Don't know how to get there. I just breaking in, maybe? Breaking in is always in. Yeah. Coral, not coral. Okay. Move on. What the fuck? How do you time them? Where are we going? What is that shit? Oh, it's weird. I wish I can roll in the water. That would be awesome. Awesome. What is this structure? Can I go faster now? Amen, no problem. So whatever. Good there. This one is pretty nice. Run, run. 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 Faster. Is this waypoint? Western? Should be it. Are you? I fuck you, my. I know what mod this is. Yep, it's that way. Wait. That's... What is that? Oh my days. Is there cliff? Help? Oh shit. Fuck. Gotta die. Oh my god, I have no inventory. Oh, suspicious son. Get out of here. I will. How is it like? We are landfalling. Huh. Jungle again, jungle again. In jungle, man. Ah, this is the worst. Why is it scaring music of me? There's nothing to be scared of. That's burning. What is that? Just how much annoying water ruins in tower and water. That's another tower. Ah yeah. I think I'm going home. I think it's time to go to the to the to the time to go to the end. But I think anyway. Where's my diamond? My diamond. My diamond. Hi. 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 Can I? Okay, yeah. Wait, how much? Nether we go. To the nether we go. Oh. Who the fuck attacked me? Fuck you. How you come here? What the kind of bullshit is this? What the? Let's see. What is going on? There's literally nothing. What the fuck? Hey. I'm giving up. Is this all crimson? That's unfuck. Nether. As. As directing that. There, there. Fuck you. Fuck. Wrong. I mean, I researched my but I can be bothered. What is this? Another waypoint tower? Okay, leave horror is okay. Cannot deny that. I'm going to fucking netherite golden. Then glowing. That's it. Okay. Nice. It would be wise not to have to the lava, but I can. Hold on. Yep, that's it. One there. Fucking. Why not have food though? Yep. Lah, lah, lah. This kind of cool. I mean, what is? Why are you just like? I mean, it's Brazil. Done. On. Places. Yeah, I don't want to pay you right now. There it is. It's not placed. What the fuck? Not like this. Oh. Come on. I... that is... Look out for my fucking bad Amanda. Another. Do I need 5? And that's not true. Okay. Well. Edit. That's it. I don't know how this works. It's still active when the flame is still down, probably. Okay, so wait, the fruit? I forgot of. Tip. Tip. charge me. Ah! Why is it so shallow though? Shallow? Shallow? I don't know. Wait, I can jump. Hold on, I don't know. Hey, ow! Fucking bitch. Help me. Jesus. Cool. Yes. Too much. Dude, too much. Much stress, actually. I don't know. Jesus everywhere. Okay. Okay. Am I in mortal danger right now? Fuck man, I mean that's a legendary. What did I call? I mean he's too tall to it weird, so this is kinda cheating, but I kinda don't want to just I'll stop. Stop right there. I just a ball. What do I do? What do I do? Stop, okay, cool. Okay. Give me more bless. Wait a minute, wait a minute. Hang on, hang on. Please, okay, please. Fight me. Fight me. I'm in immortal danger actually. Fuck. Okay, how is it? How the fuck? That almost committed. Ouch. I'm actually in mortal danger for one. Exciting. I need to visit from that. I mean, I'm back. Please, please stop, stop, stop. Okay. Chill, 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 chill. Oh my god. Please. That legendary piece of shit. Oh my god, please shut the fuck up. My god, I got attacked. Please shut the fuck up. I need to kill the legendary one. Come on, shut up, please. Where are you? Where are you? Oh, this is chasing us. Fuck you. Fuck you. Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. Shit. Oh my god. Oof. Yes. Calm down. Calm down. I'm not fighting. Calm down. Oh yeah. Come on, die. Die already. Die. Die, die. What do I get? Armor? Action one. That's so tough. Fuck. What the fuck? Shut up. This. Yes. jump me up. Excalibur. Shit, you knocked me out. Right. 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 And so much less. Less. Nightmare. But I'm like, they just. Good. Oh my god, stop knocking me over, dude. The fuck? Annoying. That's all. My god, what is that jump scare? Real. What is that? You are kidding me. Yes, please. I'm going back home. 50 times. Yes, I almost died. And so legendary. Which is exciting. I still have that on me. Right. PM. Killing me. What do I do? Not much. What else? Much eye of candle I have. Hold on. Oh. Oh. Yeah. No. Then that right. Oh, buddy. A lot of that. Well, anyway. You. All. All. We all gold. No, no. Hey, no. Performing endeavor. Now I go. That's weird. It's so small. Anyway. Um, I need infrastructure here, but I don't have time for that. Yeah, that's enough. I think. One, two, three. It's five. Boom. 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 That is as you like. I'm going to the ender. I mean, it's amazing. The thing that no. Surely this is sure. Where does this point? That way. What's this? That's really that's it. Done. Did the game crash or something? I don't actually know. I think it crashed. Yep, it does. My bad, dude. You know what? That's my cue to leave actually. I see. My memory maxed out. Please. No. My cantabile. On. Okay, it's back. My photo's back. Anyway, that's it for now. Bye bye.